These are happy faces. Faces of people who are fit and healthy. But not too long ago, they had to go under the knife.
I used to have pain on my left side. It used to be a shooting kind of a pain.
I went for the angiography test, and then after that the blockage was discovered. Not just one or two, three blockages were discovered.
मेरे हार्ट की प्रॉब्लम थी और मेरे किडनी भी दोनों खराब थी। मेरे फुकनों में खून आती थी और मैं काम भी नहीं कर सकता था।
When I couldn't keep up with my family members walking, I had this cholesterol problems many years. The doctor told me that I was sitting on a time bomb.
They have been given a new lease of life, allowing them to live longer, healthier, and more productive lives.
I'm thankful to God and to my doctor that has given me a second chance to live my life now.
I don't have any kind of problems. I am doing my walks, regular walks, and I play badminton and everything.
I feel very fine and look forward to enjoying my life as long as it continues.
But not all hospital visits end up with happy endings.
Patient life is depending upon what we give him at that particular time when he is in the hospital. If the device is not good, then the patient is going to suffer.
We get to hear these stories reported all the time. All it takes to trigger an unwanted medical emergency or play havoc with your life is just one faulty or substandard device.
As a patient, when you go to a healthcare facility like a hospital or a clinic, you generally look for the best of healthcare facilities provided to you. So you look at how the doctor has been treating you, whether your ailments have been cured, whether diseases have been cured or not. But what we generally don't see is what is happening behind the scenes. What about the equipment that is being used to treat you? What about those invasive devices that have been used to cure your diseases? And that's something that gets completely missed out from the picture.
The patients should be more educated, should be more encouraged to ask about the devices which are going to be implanted upon them.
Do you know if that stent to be implanted into your heart is safe? Or whether that incubator nurturing your newborn is calibrated to function in Indian settings?
Here's a situation where my life depends upon this implant and I have no way to actually judge whether it's a standard device or not.
Or are you certain that your BP monitor or the blood glucose meter is giving you accurate readings? Remember the last time you checked for the standardization mark on any of the medical devices you put your money on. There are thousands of medical devices sold locally, from humble reading glasses and gloves to critical MRI machines and implants. But out of them all, just 22 of them are currently under any direct regulatory supervision by the Drug Controller General of India's office.
Medical devices are very loosely governed. There's no regulation very strongly controlling either production, import or distribution of these equipments. This is one of the fallacies that is leading to such substandard things coming into the market, and people are getting affected by that.
At the end of the day, we are looking for positive patient outcomes and we need predictability of outcomes. So to ensure that, we must have regulations and standards which will ensure that the way I take that injection or the way I consume, whether it's a medical device or a use of medical device or a drug, is consistent no matter where it is. And that is where I talk about predictability. That's important. But what is required at the end of the day is all just consistent standards.
Medical devices affect human lives. There is no room for compromise. The healthcare delivered must bear the seal of the highest standards of patient safety.
It's very, very important that we use only regulatory certified products because we are dealing with the human body.
It is this belief that drives hospitals like Narayana Healthcare to ensure that the medical equipment used in their health centers are safety compliant. Such hospitals prove that the best medical care, the best MRI machines, the standardized and safety compliant ECG equipment do not have to be beyond everyone's reach.
Some of the consumer court decisions today have questioned the type of the equipments that were used in treating the patients. That's why it also becomes the responsibility of the hospital to evaluate while purchasing the equipment or a device or an implant, am I buying from a qualitative source? Am I buying from a time-tested source? Is it being elsewhere medically certified? Though India may not have certified, we may need to look at other certifications to ensure that such equipments are bought. Once you are bought, your responsibility is not over. You have to continuously calibrate it, maintain it, ensure they are in an optimal working condition.
A few hospitals are following a self-regulatory approach to ensure the devices used adhere to the highest quality of service and patient safety standards so that more lives can be saved.
We as doctors have taken the responsibility to judge devices. But that's based on, in India, what is the requirement is small clinical trials. Just 100 patient study to prove the safety. But maybe that's not enough. Maybe we should be looking at rigorous testing of devices. So while we encourage Make in India, let us make sure that we have a similar body which says what is the quality of these devices, how is it manufactured, what is the safety, and not just the safety, what is the efficacy of these devices. And then I think that we'll be able to protect our patients.
The right diagnosis leads to the right treatment. Safety of patients and accuracy of reports have to be the most important operational pillars of diagnostic centers. Leading diagnostic chain SRL Diagnostics believes that following the highest safety standards is the only way to achieve accurate and consistent medical care outcomes.
Unless until the right diagnosis happens, you'll not be able to come to know about the right outcome, and obviously the right course of treatment cannot be given. So to that extent, it's very important to have the right kind of devices, right kind of equipment. And for that, I think we have to pick the equipment from the vendors who are reliable. They are certified by FDA or CE or any other certifying body like that.
But it is not just the patients who are at risk. Medical professionals also figure in the high-risk group due to long hours of exposure to medical equipment.
The health workers, they are at a huge potential risk in terms of chemical hazards, in terms of physical hazards, biological hazards, radioactive hazards, and musculoskeletal hazards. Now, to combat that, it's very, very important that we use the right kind of devices.
So, now we all understand why standards are important. They provide reliability and safety. And hence the onus lies on medical device manufacturers to consistently deliver equipment that not just meets current regulatory requirements, but are designed and manufactured keeping in mind the safety of end users, both patients as well as the healthcare professionals operating them.
I would say that it is self-imposed regulatory which most people are doing. Most manufacturers are just thinking what they want to do, whether they want to only be in India, they want to go abroad. Based on that, they decide their roadmap. Coming to a manufacturing side of it, most of the good manufacturers like us at BPL, we follow very strong ISO guidelines that how we have to do that. We keep very clearly patient safety in the mind. Equipment is designed based on that. You have a lot of framework available, you have a lot of inputs available that what kind of product you want to develop, and We take care of EMI, EMC tests, which are very critical from the safety point of view, product safety point of view. Similarly, in terms of features and other things, it is done.
Today, 70% of medical devices are imported within the country, whether it's syringes, gloves, or MRI machines or ECG scanners. The government has embarked on a very ambitious plan of manufacturing in India. What is the need of the hour is to ensure that these medical devices that are manufactured within the country are of absolute world-class standards and follow international requirements as far as manufacturing and producing these are concerned.
Medical devices are a crucial link in the healthcare delivery chain. The Indian medical devices industry needs to understand that providing quality healthcare and patient safety is their responsibility too. How do you know that medical devices are reliable, accurate, and safe? According to a survey, 72% Indians depend on medical devices to improve their quality of life. But have these devices been tested and certified for use?
Whether it is a simple syringe that you are using on a daily basis or a glove that you're using, whether it is that or a drug you're consuming, you must be absolutely sure that this has gone through the basic rigor of safety and quality testing before it has been released to you as a patient.
Be it electrical or non-electrical, medical devices are a part of heavily regulated global industry, and regulations touch every stage of the life cycle of a medical device. The devices have to follow compliance to the applicable standards.
In order to comply with all the safety requirements, a broad set of international standards have been prescribed to test an equipment for safety and efficacy so that the medical technology can be administered in the right and safe manner.
From performance testing and usability to non-clinical testing, these devices should pass standard tests of validation. Only then, medical professionals should use them on patients.
What we do at labs like these are basically test the products for a minimum quality level, and that's something that is happening in the regulatory scene all over the world. Medical devices, whether they are being manufactured in China or in Japan or in the US or in India, expect to have a basic minimum quality level in terms of their performance and in terms of their safety.
India today has about 10,000 plus types of medical devices which are sold in the market. Now, if we take one example of this baby incubator, as part of the safety requirements, it tests about close to 150 tests are actually performed on a device to ensure that the device is safe. Some very critical safety parameters that we will test to ensure that the equipment is safe. The first one being the dielectric voltage withstand test. The second being a leakage measurement test. The third is the temperature rise test. And the fourth is an ECG performance related test. Electrical shocks are considered as a major hazardous in any hospital environment. Imagine an incubator where a baby is taken to the incubator and it's subjected to temperature and various other tests. If there are shocks, if the equipment is not connected properly to a mains current, or if there is a electrical short circuit that happens, the incubator tends to catch fire and the temperature rises in the incubator. So in order to ensure that these electrical shorts do not happen, the broad set of international standards that are defined helps us to test a medical device to ensure that such situations do not happen in a hospital.
With a population of over 1 billion people, ensuring that Indians have access to affordable quality healthcare remains a challenge. Over the last few years, healthcare in India has seen its fair share of technological advancements and innovations. It is time that medical devices also received due attention.
For India to be future ready, what we need is an absolute consistent set of standards, whether it's for medical devices, whether it's for hospital systems, whether it's for pharmaceutical. And that consistent set of standards is required for our own internal usage so that our medical devices, the hospital system, the healthcare industry is ready and of global standards.
Today it's a state of confusion. I mean, I want to follow some norms, I'll follow. Somebody else who's probably competing with you might be following much lower or higher, nobody has any idea. And you know the quality has a cost. And that's where it will completely get confused. So I feel if there is a very clear regulation which tells that you need to comply to this level, it will be very helpful and people will get more educated and clear.
Systems have to gear up to create a body which is strong enough, the mark of which assures a safety standard, which is well rigorously tested, which is above board, which is overarching, which is non-influencing, and yet makes a decisive decision on quality and puts a mark on it, which creates the confidence amongst the public.
India's mission to provide universal healthcare to all must be complemented by the commitment to ensure the safest healthcare delivery possible. And to achieve that, we have to ensure that the services provided and the equipment used adhere to global safety standards.
One should always check who is the manufacturer. Does he have any quality certification? Maybe after the new regulation, India might itself will put a quality certification and a device approval number. Till such time, they should look at least, is it a CE approved? Is it a FDA approved? What is the quality standard on this? There is so much of advertisement that comes on products. They even sell at a very attractive prices. One should not just go by the price factor in it, because this is going to be detrimental in their treatment, in their life. They should pay more caution towards selecting a device so that they get an accurate result.
If you're aware that that kind of testing and that kind of quality is not being passed, then you must make a noise. And all of us as consumers have to make that noise. Only then the entire ecosystem will wake up and realize that India demands that kind of safety standards.
So what does India demand? We demand safety and efficacy of treatment for the patients, safety for the medical practitioners and device operators, predictability of outcomes for doctors, healthcare professionals, as well as for the patients, and peace of mind for people like you and me and for the regulators. And all of this will be achieved by mandating strict standards and testing methodologies, one time and ongoing, with the healthcare industry adhering to it and patients demanding it. We have to create a mindset that will ensure that the next time you buy a medical device or go to a hospital, you will check for standardization. Ask for certified products. It is your right because it is your life.